Okay, we've talked about several cases on how you fix bad law. So when the law doesn't work, what do? Well, we looked at several cases, from Young v. Beck, where you make sure you have to follow precedent. If there's clear law, you follow precedent. We looked at the Trentadue case, where if you don't like the law and there's a statute in conflict, then you have to go to your legislator and write a new statute, right? Well, there's one other option, and that's what we see in the Hagan versus Coca Cola case. All right. In this case, we have a couple of girls that have gotten a bottle of Coca Cola, and they start to drink it and they realize that there's this foreign substance in it. When they take a closer look, to them it looks like a used condom. And that is a nasty image. If you're wondering what that looks like, I have a picture. So if you're like me, and if I were in their situation, I would be freaking out right now, because they had consumed this Coca-Cola and this foreign substance that is part of what looks to them, or appears to them to be, a used condom. And they are scared out of their mind, and so they go and get tested for sexually transmitted diseases, HIV testing, which comes back negative. Well, they sue Coca-Cola. They're each awarded $25,000 at the trial court. The appellate court then reversed. So the rule historically, and why the appellate court reversed the trial court's decision, is because we have something called the physical impact rule. When you sue for emotional distress, we require a physical impact. Because you can imagine the floodgates of people who would sue if they just felt their feelings were hurt. So we require there must be some kind of physical impact. So if you are emotionally distressed, you must be physically sick. You must be somehow harmed in the process of being emotionally distressed physically, right? And you need to show these scars or this sickness or this doctor note to prove that. And in this case, they consumed something, but they weren't actually physically sick. So we've got a problem, but yet this is one that doesn't feel right, because there's something that happened in the bottling process. It was clear that the bottle was not tampered with. Something happened at Coca-Cola, and these girls drank from it, they consumed it, but yet they weren't physically sick other than feeling nauseous, but there was no physical impact. So how do we make them whole? How do we make this right? Well, there are a couple other cases that are similar. There's one with a can of peas where someone opened the can of peas and there's a bug floating on top, and they were disgusted. Well, the ruling in that case came out that mere observance of something disgusting is not enough. One thing we know is that just observing what looks like this condom in the Coca-Cola is not enough. So what do? This is different than the peas case, because on the peas they merely observed it. In this case, they've actually consumed it. Well, the court decided, hey, let's keep the precedent, let's keep the physical impact rule, but let's modify it. Let's add something to it, and let's add a subset that says if you come into contact with it, if you consume it, that is enough of a physical impact. Because food processors and bottlers should be responsible for what they put in. There's no other way to touch the product, and so if you somehow if you cause contamination in your food and it's consumed, it's not merely observed but actually consumed, that is enough. So you don't have to be sick, you don't have to be injured, but the mere consumption. Now again, this is not changing, it's not conflicting with the impact rule. It is the judges creating common law before our eyes, that they're taking this law and they're adding to it. They're modifying it in a way that makes sense for the way that this industry and the world is changing, and the way that this case has come together. This has happened in other situations. We had a series of Pepsi cases back a couple decades ago where people were finding syringes in Pepsi cans. There is a Monster Energy case where someone found a rat in the can of Monster Energy. These things happen, and we want to hold bottling companies and food processors responsible. Now, in the Coca-Cola case, it wasn't a condom at all. It was actually mold. So I guess this happens when the Coca-Cola bottles sit for a long time, but at least it wasn't worse.